Good evening, and welcome to Killing Them Softly. I am your host, Angela Huguenin, Director of Operations for And Then There Were None. Tonight's topic is chemical abortion, or commonly it's called medication abortion, or simply the abortion pill. This is a regimen of 2 different drugs in pill form that women take to end their pregnancies. Currently, medication abortion accounts for 63% of all abortions in this country, and it's recommended to take up to 10 weeks gestation. If you've heard of the pill, you've most likely heard that it's safe or that it's easy and only as painful as maybe a heavy period. But we're going to challenge that here. I'm here tonight with 3 former abortion workers, 2 of whom have had their own personal experience with ending their pregnancies through the abortion pills. And they're going to share those stories with you. They are only 2 of hundreds of former abortion workers that we have personally worked with who also have similar experiences. Not only are they the recipients of the pill, but they also have experience in dispensing the abortion medication while working in the abortion industry. You see, the abortion industry wants women to tell their stories, but only the stories that corroborate their rosy point of view. So we're going to tell you the other side. And really, there's no better time than right now. The U.S. Supreme Court has recently ruled on a case about the abortion pills, throwing them into the spotlight once again. And Louisiana recently classified the abortion pills as a controlled substance due to the serious misuse and dangerous side effects. And in Massachusetts, a man was charged for secretly giving his partner the abortion pills, which ultimately caused her to miscarry. We are hearing more and more that women and young girls are being abused and then drugged to destroy the evidence. These former abortion workers are going to tell you what it was like when they went through their own medication abortion, one of whom actually saw her tiny baby in the bathroom. They're going to tell you what they were trained to say to women who were inquiring about the pills or who may have called in hysterics because they thought they were dying from the amount of blood that they saw during their own medication abortion. Tonight, they're going to talk about how their clinics seriously dialed down the side effects of abortion pills when they were giving instructions to women. You see, women need to hear the whole truth when they're deciding about abortion. And according to hundreds of former abortion workers, the truth is not what they're getting. So tonight, let's hear the truth. Our first guest tonight is Eva. Eva worked for Planned Parenthood for 9 years. During her time at Planned Parenthood, she regularly counseled women on how to take the regimen, and she dispensed the pills. Eva also has personal experience in taking the pills to terminate her pregnancy. Eva, can you tell us a little bit about how you were trained and what you were trained to say to women who were requesting the abortion pill?
Hi, thank you. My name is Eva Rubalcaba, and yes, I did work for 9 years at Planned Parenthood. And basically, what Planned Parenthood did was lie to me, it's telling me lies about a pregnancy in the womb that wasn't a pregnancy. So basically, what they did was showed me an ultrasound that I really couldn't see anything with a gestation of 7 weeks or so. With that being said, they would tell me to tell women that their pregnancy wasn't a pregnancy, that it was a bag of water or a blob of tissue. And what basically they told me to tell women was it all started with a positive pregnancy test. And the woman sometimes wouldn't want an abortion. They didn't know they had a choice of having an abortion, a chemical abortion, because that's all we did in the Napa Center in California. We didn't do any surgicals. So a woman would come in, I would consult them, give them the positive pregnancy test, tell them how far along with the last menstrual period, and schedule them. And I'm sorry, and then I would tell them that they had a choice of abortion using the chemical abortion pill. And sometimes these women wouldn't even want an abortion. So I kind of pushed them towards that by telling them that depending on their age, if they were young teenagers, I would tell them you have a future in front of you. You don't need this in your life right now. If it was a woman of an older woman, like in their 40s or 30s, I would tell them, you don't need this in your life right now because you're older and the pregnancy might have complications. Never did we use the word babies. It was conception of product of conception or a fetus or a bag of water. So it started with that. Then I would literally tell them that it was a light period. So by using the abortion pills, that it was as easy as a light period. So what that meant is that they were going to expel the pregnancy with a light period, light cramping, and they weren't going to see anything. I would tell them that sometimes that they will pass blood clots of the size of a lemon, but I really didn't discuss much of that because I didn't want to scare them.
Sure.
Um,
Were there ever women who would call back after the fact, scared or angry, because they felt like you hadn't shared the whole truth with them?
yes, many times. Many times, one lady called. She was a Caucasian lady. She was crying hysterically that she felt emotionally distressed and that she didn't know what to do, and she didn't know who to talk to. And the only thing I could tell her was that convincing her that it wasn't because of the abortion related, that it was more of her hormones, that she had a imbalanced hormones because of the abortion pill, and that that would go away. And then I would give her an 800 number with a counselor from Planned Parenthood that is called Exhale, which I later learned that they never answered. They never answered these women that were in pain.
Wow. Were there a lot of trips to the ER with these women who were taking this pill regimen?
Yes, there were. There were a few. So it was after hours, and they would go to the emergency room, which we would tell the woman not to go there. We would literally tell them, "You must call us first," because we didn't want those statistics being on our on Planned Parenthood. I would uh, I would get the faxes from the calls that these women would call and telling us that they were hemorrhaging from the abortion pill. And later we would get the report from the hospitals telling us that this person had to get a blood transfusion. They almost lost their lives because of taking the chemical abortion.
Wow. Eva, you also had experience with a woman who, similar to Dana, was traumatized by what she saw after she had expelled the baby that she was carrying. Can you walk us through that interaction with her and share with us a little bit about the abortionist's reaction to what the patient was requesting?
It's horrible. Um, oh my gosh. Okay. So it was a Caucasian lady who had paid privately for her chemical abortion. I had not consulted this person in particular. Some other ex coworker did the consultation, and I happened to do her intake. And as I took her to the room, this lady is crying. She's upset, and she's telling me that she has her baby in a Ziploc bag. And I'm looking at her like she must be crazy. Like I was really confused as to what she was telling me. She sorry. So she was telling me that the woman who had done her consultation had lied to her and told her she wasn't going to see anything, and that it wasn't a pregnancy, that it was just a bag of water or a blob of tissue. And at that moment, I caught myself thinking, this is what we tell them, right? So she's telling me, I want to pull out this Ziploc bag and I want you to see this. And I got really scared. I was really scared. And I told her, no, please don't. Let me get the clinician. Let me go talk to her and she can come in and talk to you. So I run to the clinician and I'm like scared. And I'm telling her that what the lady had told me, that she had her baby in a Ziploc bag and that I wanted her to go see it. And I was scared to see it too, but I kind of wanted to know what was happening. And the clinician was like, no. She immediately got so upset. She was like mad, just like immediately flipped out on me and said, tell her to go throw it in the garbage can. And I was just scared and confused. And I said, but you're not going to go talk to her and see what's in there. And so we can like check and see what's going on. And the clinician said, no, I'm not. I'll go talk to her, but I am not going to have her pull that bag out of her purse. I will not let that happen. So the clinician goes and talks to this lady. I stay outside the room. And when the clinician comes back, she's like, she's fine. She's good to go. And I said, what happened with what she had in the Ziploc bag? And she's like, I demanded her not to pull it out because I wasn't going to see it. And I convinced her that it was just a blood clot.
Wow. That's devastating. That's really, really hard.
Yes.
Eva, I know you have also had some personal experience with taking the abortion pill. Can you tell us a little bit about your own personal experience with the pill?
Goodness, I found out I was pregnant and I had a small spotting. I wanted to get an ultrasound and happened to go to the sister Planned Parenthood in Fairfield, California, which I had not told the organization that I was working for them. So I kind of went on my own without letting no one know. So they kind of told me the same thing that I would tell these women, and I wasn't expecting that. So I was on the other side of the story now, and they did the ultrasound, gave me the first pill, the Mifeprex, and they told me that would stop the pregnancy from proceeding, and that I had no going back. There was no reversal. That I couldn't stop the abortion. The abortion. So they gave me 4 pills to take home, and they told me I was about 7 weeks far. I wasn't expecting that. I thought maybe maybe the baby's okay, because at that point I was already starting my doubts. I had already doubts of working for this organization and doubts of a lot of things that were happening. So, and I applied for the presumptive Medi-Cal, which was given at the site with no hesitation for anyone at any age to get an abortion. So I didn't pay for anything. So I go in and they give me the pills. And as I'm driving home, I kind of realized that what I just did, did I just kill my baby? So I was emotionally distressed, and I wanted to kill myself at that moment, there and then. As I drove home, I remember calling my sister and calling a religious friend that I had, and she said, calm down, everything's going to be fine. When I get home, the next day I took the 4 pills, the missile that was going to contract the uterus to expel my baby, to expel the pregnancy. And I remember having lots of chills, fever, severe pain. I remember it was nothing like what I had consulted women. I was really scared and emotional. And as the fever rised, I remember that they had told me that it was normal. And that's what I had told women. It was normal to have chills and that fever. But at one moment, I saw myself laying on the floor. It was kind of like if my soul had left my body. And I remember closing my eyes and saying, God, are you taking me? Am I losing my life right now? But how could that be? And so a lot of things were in my mind and in my heart at that moment. But I asked God for forgiveness. And at that moment, I told him and I said, if you give me another opportunity to live, I will speak the truth. And at that moment, when I closed my eyes and I said that, as I was seeing myself laying on that floor, God revealed to me a young 13-year-old kid. Sorry. Um, Going through the same thing that I was going through. And I couldn't imagine that. How could I be lying to kids, children, and a woman, no matter the age, and telling and lying them that this is safe, that this is safer than giving birth, and that I could lose my life. And at that moment, I said, God, I'm sorry for everything that I did, and I promise you that I'll speak the truth wherever you put me at. And that's why I'm here today.
Absolutely. It's obvious just in your story, your personal experience, in the story of the woman who came in distressed about what she had seen after expelling the baby, that the toll that this takes on women physically, mentally, spiritually are devastating. Um, can you tell me what is one thing that you would tell a woman now that you have been on the other side? What would you tell them if they said that they were considering taking the abortion pill?
I know that one thing I would definitely tell them is that I know that Jesus has forgiven me, but that pain of losing your baby through abortion, it's 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 always going to be there. It's like always going to hurt me. Um, and it's not one thing that I would want anyone to go through because it's losing a loved one. And even though people lie to you and say, "Oh, it's okay, nothing's going to happen," they're lying because emotionally, mentally, and even physically, spiritually, it's like it drains you. It eats you up slowly. And I wouldn't want you to go through that. I've held I've held tight to God, and that's the only reason I feel that I'm here. But it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And you are killing your baby. You are killing it alive. No matter what gestation they tell you you're at, even if it's 5 weeks, 10 weeks, 30 weeks, 40 weeks, even if the baby is born, it's life. And I tried committing suicide a few times, and this is no fun. And no matter what age you are, what situation you're going through, you God will make it happen. God will make it happen one way or another, and you'll receive blessings. And for those people that don't believe in God, even then, a, a child is a blessing, and you'll make it. You'll make it through. You'll make it through. But if
Yeah.
you kill your baby, it's once you know the truth, once you wake up with that truth, it's uh, it's it's just horrific. Sorry.
No, you're absolutely right. And, I certainly want to point out to anyone who may be listening the importance of understanding that there is forgiveness in Christ. And we are so thankful for that. And we're thankful that He has reached down and pulled you out from something that you were in for so long, working in Planned Parenthood, and helped to open up your eyes. Um, it can be such a devastating thing to women, like I said, physically, mentally, and spiritually. But there is hope, and we're thankful for that. And we're thankful for how far that you've come, Eva. We're thankful that you've chosen to share your story with those who would listen to us tonight. Um, and we're so very proud of you for taking this step. So, um, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of this. Um, and we just appreciate you so much. Our next guest is Dana. She was an administrative assistant, and she knew about the protocols surrounding the abortion pill. Dana chose to go to an independent facility to obtain her abortion pills. And Dana had a chemical abortion in both 2005 and in 2006. So, welcome, Dana. Thank you for joining us tonight. In 2006, you were a single mom. You were in school. You had been helping care for your terminally ill grandfather, and you found yourself in a position where you were pregnant. Can you walk us through that experience of the second time that you took the abortion pills?
Um,
Okay.
well, I mean, it was an independent clinic, but it's been a clinic in Illinois for over 45 years. So it's been around for a very long time. Um, my chemical abortion, the second one I had, I went to the clinic and discussed the different options, surgical versus chemical. And I had had a previous surgical and a previous chemical. I preferred, if that's even a word. The chemical was preferable for me over the surgical for the mere fact that I didn't have to be in the clinic. I could get my pills and leave, and that to me was, I suppose, less traumatic than being in there for hours and hours around fellow women who are also going through an abortion. And for me, that just seemed like the easier of the two options, the lesser of two evils, so to speak. So I did the second chemical abortion. Only at this point, they did an ultrasound and they estimated me to be between 8 to 9 weeks, to the best of my recollection. Um, the second time they gave me the pills, they had me do the first pill orally, and then they sent me home with 4 additional pills, which I had to physically insert into my vagina. And then that was supposed to be what caused me to expel the pregnancy. Um, I want to say took the first pill maybe around 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then I was supposed to take the next set of pills and insert them within 24 hours, 12 to 24 hours after that. And what happened was, um, I inserted the second ones, and almost immediately, within, I want to say, an hour to 2 hours, I started just having violent cramping. I started feeling physically ill. I started having shakes. I just nausea, vomiting, just horrible, horrible, horrible pain. And several hours later is when I actually started to go through the process of the abortion started, taking place, and my body started going through the physical process of the abortion. And within 4 to 6 hours after inserting those pills, I was passing horrible, horrible blood clots. And I want to say it was about maybe 5 or 6 days that I just kept passing blood clots and passing blood clots. And I didn't call them back. I didn't want to call them back. I didn't want anything to do with them. I did not want to have anybody from that clinic touch me. It was the most traumatic, horrible thing that I've ever experienced in my life, and they did not tell me. They told me mild cramping, couple hours here, couple hours there. They told me mild bleeding, to look for clots, like Eva said the size of lemons, that's a warning sign that you need to go seek medical attention. And I mean, I've worked in medical field before, and having two prior abortions, I knew what to look for. But it went on and on and on, and I cramped for several days. And after, I want to say, a day and a half to 2 days of extreme cramping and like flu-like symptoms, you're just like chilled, you're shaking, you feel nauseated, you feel physically weak, and you're just wondering, am I gonna be okay? Because the amount of blood and tissue that you pass is alarming. It's scary. It's the most horrible thing that I've ever seen in my life, and I would never want to go through that again. And I would never advise any woman who is thinking of doing a chemical abortion to be remiss or think it's easier than the alternative. Neither one are a good choice, but the chemical abortion, they try to make it seem less invasive, less overwhelming, less clinical. They almost try to sell it like an in-home miscarriage. They don't tell you the they don't tell you the extreme situations that can happen. They just give you a little exam. I had to have an ultrasound, and I did an ultrasound, and I took a pill at the clinic, and then I went home with my bag, and whatever happened, they did not tell me. Um, they didn't tell me any of the more extreme things that could happen. And I had nothing to base it off of because my prior two were nothing like my third. The surgical abortion was in and out in like 4 to 5 hours, and that's clinical. The first chemical one that I had, it was nothing like my second one. um they don't tell you, they don't prepare you emotionally, mentally, psychologically, and they don't care. They just want their money. They want you to get your stuff and get out. It's like a car wash. It's like a cycle. Just one in, one out, one in, one out. And you're not provided with any type of emotional or psychological support. They tell you, oh, you can call us if you have, extreme blood clots, or if you're soaking more than one pad an hour, but they don't provide emotional support for what you see. They don't prepare you for that. And there is nothing, honestly, that can prepare you for something like that. There's nothing they could ever tell you that is going to prepare you emotionally, or even, physically, even to look at it. They don't give you any support for any of that. They don't tell you honesty. They don't give you honesty. They don't provide aftercare support. They want to know if you're bleeding to death, but beyond that, they don't care. They don't care.
Yeah. Do you feel like they did dial down a lot of that information so that you would continue to just take the pill and not question it
Well,
as
I
they're
mean,
dispensing it?
I'd had a prior experience, so I was only basing it off of what happened with the previous experience. But when this happened, I was so traumatized that I didn't trust them. I mean, if they can't tell me that this is a possibility of what's going to happen to me, why am I going to trust them when I really am in an emergency situation? Why am I going to trust you when you basically kept me in the dark about the what ifs? And that's what women don't get. They get the, oh, it's this, and this are going to happen. It's a very routine procedure. It's done in the comfort of your home. It's no more than a menstrual cycle, and it'll be over in a matter of 2 or 3 days. They don't give you the extreme side because that's not going to keep their numbers up. That's not going to get women lined up um, to choose the chemical abortion. Of course, if women knew the traumatic truth about it, and they were given the not, let's not cut to the let's not do the cupcake abortion type. Oh, you're going to have a light period. You're going to have mild bleeding and you can take Tylenol. No, they don't tell you about everything that happens after, and especially if you're having a bad one. There's nothing they can do or say that can prepare you for that, because that's going to make you run out the door, and that's not what they want you to do.
Sure,
And
absolutely.
I,
Can you
after my
me
after my abortion, after my chemical abortion completed, I was supposed to return to that clinic within, I want to say, 10 days to have an ultrasound to make sure that I had had a complete abortion. I never went back. I
can
knew that I could still have retained placenta, or pieces of my baby could still be inside me. I wasn't I wasn't going back. I'd rather be dead than let those people touch me.
wow, that's difficult. Did you did the clinic that you went to obtain the pills or the clinic that you worked for, were either of them encouraging women to visit the ER if they felt that they
No,
were in an emergency situation?
no.
Can
I
you talk
was
a little bit about?
I was told that if I had blood clots the size of lemons, they gave me an after hours number to call, and if it was that severe, that I should go to the but only as a last resort. First, I was to call them to find out how they wanted me to proceed, and to let them know about my situation, let them know what was going on with my body. Now, at the clinic I worked at the Planned Parenthood that I worked at, um, the ladies were sent to the call center if they called in with any complications. I was to immediately put them in contact with the call center. Do not pass go. Do not give my personal opinion. Do not tell them any medical advice. Do not give them personal opinions. Um, Send them straight down to option six in the call center.
Absolutely. Did you receive some of those calls from the women who were upset or in hysterics because they weren't sure what was going on with their medication abortion?
Yes, yes. It was a common occurrence to have women call in at various stages of the chemical abortion and express fear, express being scared, seeking advice about what to do in their situation. And unfortunately, I could not, in my position, there was nothing I could do directly to help them. Of course, I knew what I wanted to do, but there were only certain things that I was allowed to do. So I would just tell them, please, remain on the line, try to stay calm. I'm going to get you to the call center, and they'll be able to help you. But I knew better. Those women should have been going to the emergency room. They shouldn't be, they call, they get me. That's 10 minutes wasted. Then they get routed to the call center. That's another. If you're, you want to tell them, if you're second guessing your health, go to a real emergency room. Don't waste your time with these $10 an hour customer service reps that are trained to repeat verbatim from a script.
In your experience, Dana, how important do you think it is for women to obtain that
I'm sorry,
ultrasound
the
prior?
mic cut out.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
I can now, yes.
Okay. Can you tell me, in your experience, Dana, how important is it for women to have that ultrasound prior to their taking the pill, and also that follow-up visit just to make sure that all the contents are empty
It's
after the
it goes without saying that it's very important because, um, well, the initial ultrasound, I don't know if that's required anymore in my state. I live in Illinois, and we have some of the loosest abortion laws in the nation. So I don't really know. I don't know that they even do that anymore, because from what I understand, the Planned Parenthood over in Fairview Heights, Illinois, is doing the e-visits. They're prescribing the pills online to women. They're not even requiring them to come in to see a physician to get a dating ultrasound or to even be examined. So to not include those steps in the continuum of care is extremely irresponsible, because how do you know that the woman is being honest, or you don't know what's going on because you've removed two important things from the process. But the final ultrasound is important because, like you said, you want to make sure that it's been a complete abortion. um, but you know what, I'm sure I'm not the only woman out there who had such a life altering traumatic experience that the last thing you can think of when you're still going through the trauma and trying to process the things that you've seen coming out of your own body, last thing you want to do is put your body back into the hands of someone who has been responsible and culpable in that trauma.
Absolutely.
And I'm
Absolutely.
not negating my own blame. I'm just saying I take my responsibility for my choice, and it was the wrong choice. But to not provide the women who, it's just a bad idea. It's just a really bad idea. I cannot articulate that enough. It's just a really bad idea.
Yes, it is very evident, Dana, in your communicating this story to our guests, that it was very traumatic for you. 20 years later, and it's still very hurtful, and it's very hard for you to
It,
process.
it's a it's a raw, sore, open wound in my life that I will carry for the rest of my life. I know that I'm forgiven. I know that I know God loves me. I know I'm forgiven. But, like you said, it's just something that you're aware of that you carry around with you because it was a bad choice. It was a bad decision. And it's something that you never forget.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Dana, again for sharing your story, for being willing to be a part of tonight's webcast. We certainly thank you for sharing your story so that people do get the truth. It is so important that women are hearing the truth about what this is truly doing, not only to their physical bodies, but to their mind, to their heart, and to their very soul. So thank you, Dana, and we appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Our last guest tonight is Mayra Rodriguez. Mayra, you were a Planned Parenthood employee for 17 years in Arizona. Not just an employee, you were actually a director. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience in dispensing the pills at your facility?
Yes, definitely. Not only because I was the director of three centers, but also I was a training coordinator for some part of my time in Planned Parenthood, which means I train people on how to sell the pill, right? And one of the things that always I remember saying was that the pill is not that bad. You know, you'll be taking the pill and you're gonna be bleeding like a period, which is not true. You know, it's most of the time what we will tell the women, especially if they were under 9 weeks, the push for selling the abortion pill was better, even though there was a 39% chance of not working and them still needing a vacuum aspiration, right? But we will be like, hey, you just take the pill. Taking the pill is you take the pill today and then take another 4 pills in 2 days, and then you'll pass it on at home. And then it will be natural, like your body's disposing it. You won't feel it as aggressive. I remember that script they trained me to train my employees, and it was like the abortion pill, it's a more natural way for your body to dispose the pregnancy. So some women don't see it as an abortion.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's eye-opening. I've never heard it put in quite that frame. It does maybe trick them into feeling like it is just a miscarriage, rather than really making them feel like this is a forced termination. Did you ever have women who maybe called back and were angry because they felt like you had not really shared the entire truth about the process of the medication abortion, or what would happen to them when they were at home?
Yes, I actually remember a young girl that came back rushing into the lobby, and she had something on her hand, right? She found the abortionist at in the front office by some kind of miracle, and she literally screamed, "You did not tell me I was going to see this. This is a baby." And she had the baby on literally like a piece of napkin, right? and then they push her to the back, right away, so then the rest of the patients wouldn't hear what she had to say. But I mean, being a director of an abortion facility, I can tell you I only lasted 10 months as the director of the abortion facility. Out of my 16 years, I didn't sleep. Every single night, at least here in Arizona, the director had to be contact when anyone called the hotline at night. Anyone who was having issues, the director gets that call too, to make sure that she's been taken care of and that we can actually document how many phone calls came in the night. So I remember every single one of those phone calls about the women feeling that excruciating pain, that bleeding, that I'm gonna die, and then you have to tell them, no, 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 just put your feet up, put a heating pad, take some ibuprofen, lay down in bed. But those are the parts that really, really struck me, because I remember hearing their voice all afraid of, but I'm gonna die. I am going to die, because that's how they felt. That's how much the pain they were feeling. And I didn't know it was this painful. I actually had women telling me afterward, if I would have known it was this painful, I would have chosen the aspiration of not done an abortion at all.
Wow. That that is definitely telling about the pain, especially if those who have had surgical abortions previously before taking the chemical abortion, and to say that they would rather return to that type of procedure. Um, did you ever feel like some of the women who came in asking for the pills were either forced or coerced? Do you feel like someone was giving them that direction rather than them wanting to come in and take that on their own?
Definitely more than I would like to admit. The sad part is that during my time as a training coordinator, I took courses on how to detect abuse at home, how to detect a woman that's been under human trafficking and abusive relationships. And then once I took that training into the centers, now I'm told to tell my employees, as long as you ask them if they're safe, that's all that matters to us. We don't have to go into details. So as long as they ask them, are you safe? Even if we see the signs, right? Even if the girls look like they're struggling and that something's wrong, we are trained to literally, as long as we ask, are you safe at home? And the answer is yes, that's it. You're not the FBI, you're not CIA, you are not a police officer, your duty is done.
Wow. So it's really easy to cover up some of those trafficking situations, some of those situations where even family members or parents are forcing, um, their young child into doing something like this. How young did you see clients come in that were accessing these pills?
I think the youngest I recall was a 14-year-old brought by her mother.
Brought by her mother.
Yes.
Wow. So I've been thinking too a little bit just about, the ER visits. We've heard from a couple of the other clients tonight who have talked about ER visits and how their clinics would instruct the patients to call back rather than going to the ER. In fact, many times, knowing that the client needed emergency attention would still direct them back to the clinic versus sending them to a true medical facility where they could get medical care. Is that happened, or did that happen in your facility as well?
Definitely, definitely. The training goes like this. Um, you are telling the patients that it is better for them to come and be taken care of Planned Parenthood. And this is the way they play with them psychologically. If you go to the emergency room and you are facing someone against abortion and you tell them what you've been doing, they may take that against you and not take care of you the way they're supposed to. So in order to avoid the judgment that you may get in the emergency room, just wait for us for the next morning. We can take care of you most of the time, right? And a lot of women, obviously, as you know, part of my story is that lawsuit I had against Planned Parenthood, because a lot of women thankfully didn't listen to us, went to emergency room, and we found out they were either perforated or they were having an infection, right? Which is mostly what happens with the abortion pill.
Yeah, that's something that we've heard a lot from several clients. What kind of risks are we putting women in by just allowing them to access this at their own risk?
Well, first of all, there's no safe way to do abortions, right? There's just no safe way to do abortions. But second of all, selling the abortion pill online without even knowing if it's an ectopic pregnancy, it's already the abortion pill is life-threatening. Their life's already at risk with the abortion pill. And if it's an ectopic pregnancy, that risk just increased drastically, right? If the pregnancy is not located where it's supposed to be, the pill is not only it's not going to work, but it will risk the life of that woman, right? The not having an ultrasound with the exact gestational age, it's extremely dangerous. Now, I'm not surprised they're pushing for it. Of course, it's double dipping. That's what I call this. They know that the abortion pill fails. They know those patients will require an aspiration, and they know that then there will be double billing to the medical insurance, access, Medicaid, whatever insurance it's covering this cost, right? So obviously that's why the push is for this. But it reminds me that they've been fighting for so long not to have back alley abortions, and this is what it sounds like, a back alley abortion, right? Because a lot of the issue too is when you started the webcast, you mentioned the case of this guy giving the pills to the girlfriend and pushing them, right? And we know that happened. We know that someone else will be accessing this pill. We don't even know who's taking them. Now, on top of it, there's a lot of factors involved with taking the pill. If they have high blood pressure, if they have diabetes, if they have a blood disorder, like if they're prone to have anemia, chronic anemia. So not only is the ultrasound a key part for the abortion pill, but also knowing if they're anemic, knowing how high is their blood pressure, knowing if they had heart problems. You don't know how many times we encounter women coming in with medical problems, and it's not that Planned Parenthood did any better, because they actually overrided a lot of the times, risking women's life. But part of the screening is to make sure it's not a high blood pressure patient, it's not an anemic patient, right? Because if you give the abortion pill to someone already with chronic anemia, she literally will die in a few hours after starting bleeding. So there's many factors involved with this. And the fact that they're just easy getting an appointment online or selling them without even talking to them, it's beyond dangerous.
Yes, absolutely. And I think the point that you made, of course, abortion is dangerous for the child, right? Because this is the ending of the life of a child. But also it's dangerous for the woman who is engaging in this behavior and in this procedure. We've seen it. We've seen it across the board. We've heard hundreds of former abortion workers across the board say it's a dangerous situation. It's a dangerous procedure. And if you're doing it at home by yourself, you're putting yourself at a much greater risk to your own physical body, but not even just their physical self. We know the toll that it also takes on our emotional well-being, on our spiritual well-being. Can you speak to a little bit? You are now, as I want to let people know, you are now working with ATTWN. You are our global outreach coordinator. Tell us how important it is for former workers to find healing after working in the abortion industry, and just speak a little bit to what you have seen through this ministry with our healing and with our network of support that we have for former abortion workers.
Yes, definitely. I mean, the most important thing about our ministry is guiding. See, my passion, and you know this because you've spoken to many of our ministry members, which is over 675. I think we're up to 700 now. But every single one of us, including Abby Johnson and many others, we have said we were there to help women. That's what moved our passion to be in a place like that, right? So finding a place that will literally guide you to help women in a positive way, right? That's the first step. Why? Because you are thinking you were helping women, then you realize you've been harming them, right? Like, for example, in my case, I never took the abortion pill. I did had a miscarriage, and I remember that being the most painful thing in my life. So to imagine that that's the pain I help another woman cause, I help her go through that pain. I sold her the idea that she would be better. It takes a lot of healing. It's a guilt that you have to work through, realizing that we help kill millions of human beings, because you're not only killing one, it's the generations of that human person that was killed that will never make it to this world, right? So, and then finding a group, coming all together, understanding that when we get together, there's no judgment, right? Some of us have seen worse things. Some of us have been through worse things. Some of us participated in worse things, and there's no judgment. We understand that we were there, and now that's not what defines us. We are different. We can make an impact in the rest of the world, and that's exactly a message we want to give to the abortion workers. There's more to it than the abortion industry. There's better ways to help women, and then they were none. It's a ministry that really helps the former abortion workers. Put that in the past. Let's move on. Let's help women.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayra. I could not have said it better myself. The fact is, there is forgiveness, there is hope, there is healing from the abortion industry. And those who may be, like I said before, thinking of taking this abortion pill regimen, if you're considering that tonight, we just hope that you hear what we are saying and that you understand the dangers that are there for you. Thank you again, Mayra. We appreciate so much your willingness to share your story and your continued fight for life. You're amazing. And all of the ladies tonight, we just thank you. I want to thank each of these ladies tonight for their vulnerability, for their willingness to share and share the truth about what chemical abortion is doing. Women and men need to know the truth. And I'm thankful that you have joined us tonight as we've had the opportunity to do just that. It's our hope that what we have shared tonight will be a means to help change the hearts and minds of those who are considering the abortion pill. So thank you for joining. And with the help of our supporters, over 700 former abortion workers have found freedom from the abortion industry. Through the outreach of ATTWN, clinic workers all over the nation are waking up to the realization that they're not helping women. They're reaching out to us to assist them in exiting the industry safely. For them, ATTWN offers a way out and a path to finding peace and joy. But we still have so much work to do. There are still 3,000 workers caught in the enemy's grasp. But with your support, we can continue to reach out to them with the hope of Christ and offer them the resources that they need to walk away and point them to Christ for forgiveness and healing. If you would consider supporting the work of And Then There Were None, you can click on our donation link at the bottom of this webcast, or you can even visit our website at abortionworker.com. You can also text the word quitter to 50155. Together, we will work to make abortion unthinkable, one by one, until there are none.